आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्यां मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। We are looking at this very mysterious sentence, Asadeva idamagre asit. In the beginning, idamagre, before this Jagat took on the form, manifest form, what was there was Asad alone. Not only that, it was non-dual Asat, non-dual non-existence, and only one non-existence that was at once non-dual, and we are grappling with this. So if you ask the important question, why are we breaking our heads on this one sentence when there are so many things to look forward to? Why are we just obsessed with this sentence? We have already done it yesterday, and then last week, and then today. Why are we breaking our heads? That is because we have to understand the entire context of why we have become so what should I have saying tunnel vision, having tunnel vision as far as this sentence is concerned. What is so special about this sentence in the Upanishad that is making us do this? If we were to ask this question, the answer has to be sought in our handling of the Veda as a means of knowledge. That is where the answer has to be sought. Pramanyam of the Veda, that the Veda is a means of knowledge. The Veda is not just words. It is a means of knowledge. And means of knowledge, what does it mean? That it is an independent, self-standing aid to which all the other means of knowledge that I command have no access. No access at all. All the other pramanas, like the direct perception, inference, etc., etc., all of them, what is the difference? I operate them. I am the one in charge. I see, I hear, I touch. Don't say I smell. That will give a different meaning. I pick up smells. And, all these things, I am the one doing it. I infer, I assume based on certain observations. I cognize the absence of the proverbial pot in the palm of my hand. And I am the one engaging in comparisons. In all these, the I as the agent of the handler of the pramana is very much up front and center. All the pramanas that are vyavaharika, meaning that are transactional, that are available to us. Transactional in the sense of they are used to objectify things. So these pramanas that I have in my grubby paws, what do I do with them? I objectify all the things in the universe. This is what I do. Whereas the Veda as a pramana operates upon me. This is the main difference. I operate the way I operate all the means of knowledge, but the Veda operates on me. This is what we have to really understand to see the importance of the analysis, the mimamsa of this sentence. How does the Veda operate on you? The Veda operates on one because the Veda makes the I no longer an agent that produces the knowledge using the means of knowledge at its behest. The I is exposed to the knowledge, the ahankara, which claims the body as its own, which claims the mind as its own, which claims the sense organs as its own, and identifies completely with them, is told that you are none of them. You are none of these things at all. What are you? You are Tat. You are Jagat Karanam Brahma. You are the cause of the universe. This is what one is told. And since the I is a self-standing I, it is the subject which is not available to be objectified. Since the I is not available for objectification, there is no other way of understanding the truth of oneself other than by exposing oneself to the Upanishad. A committed and a dedicated exposure must be there. It's not like, oh, once in a while I feel like turning on a Vedanta class and then after that, I'm gone. Because the habitual orientations are too many. For too long has the ahankara, the I notion, been ensconced in the world of objects and is identifying with objects, and so it is made now to identify with itself as the subject with the help of the Upanishad, in fact the whole Veda, as an independent means of knowledge. And so how does the Veda function as an independent means of knowledge? And I told you this yesterday, because it operates upon you. That is why in the Guru Stotra we have a very nice, the second verse is wonderful. Ajnana timirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Salutations unto that teacher, unto that acharya, the teacher. Who is this teacher? The one who is wiping off the scalpel after conducting surgery. What kind of surgery? The surgery of dropping the cataracts from my vision, excising the cataracts. What do the cataracts symbolize? The cataracts symbolize self-ignorance, because of which the whole world looks gloomy, dark and distorted. This is why the cataracts have to go, and the cataract of self-ignorance is excised only through self-knowledge, no other way. And so the scalpel wielded by the teacher is the scalpel of the Upanishad, and whatever doesn't belong is excised. So one has to be available for the operation. One has to be available. That's why if you go for surgery, before you meet the surgeon, you meet the anesthesiologist. Yeah. The anesthesiologist is the one who you meet, and you are kind of surprised. Already you are being wheeled into the operation theatre, and this person comes and says, I am your friendly neighborhood anesthesiologist. What is your weight? And this, I'm sure at this time nobody will lie. They will tell the truth. And what is your age? What is your weight? And then please sign here on the dotted line. What does it say? And then it says that, anesthesia is very safe. It's been used for a long time. There is no reason. This is how the American doctors talk. There is no reason you should not come back. But dot dot dot, just in case you cannot hold us, the hospital, liable. Just sign here, come on, how long will it take? And then that signature is the signature of Shraddha. You've never met this person before. You googled the surgeon who is going to do the operation. And you found out 100 things about them, and you know even their horoscope. Okay, but you don't know anything about this anesthesiologist who is attending the surgery and who is affiliated with the hospital where you have landed. So here, you have to be put out for the surgery to be successful. Because the doctor doesn't want you to keep on, arguing. Are you using the right knife? I think you're cutting a little higher. I think it should be lower. Which doctor, which surgeon will put up with that? They'll meet you in the operating room afterwards and say some cheerful things and say that it's all over. You don't think it's over, but it's already done. Finished. It's wonderful. And so this is exactly how Vedanta operates. You have to, so where is the anesthesia? They are the jokes, yeah. They are the little jokes in the class. They are the little stories. Shvetaketu goes to Uddalaka. Shvetaketu has attitude. This is the anesthesia. And then one relaxes. Okay, nothing is going to happen to me. Nobody is taking over me. Nobody is converting me. Nobody is putting their authority on me. Okay. So one relaxes, one trusts, and before that the job is done. One is already in the recovery room. What is the recovery room? Satsang. That's the recovery room. And then everybody is, thinking, oh, really? Self-ignorance gone? Yes, it's gone. It's like that. This is why there is a difference between this pramana and the accepting of this pramana, because you have nothing to do with it. It's coming from outside. It is given by the Veda, and it is handled by the Guru. A handled pramana is alone a live pramana. That's why it is not advised that you should read the Upanishads. Adi Shankara says in the Mundaka Bhashya, Shastrajñopi Panditopi Swatantrena Brahmanveshanam na kuryat. Even if you are a Pandit, even if you know the Shastra, meaning the first portion of the Veda, and if Pandit means you know Sanskrit, still Swatantrena, by yourself, do not do enquiry into Brahman. By yourself. Even though it's called self-enquiry, the self here is the karmadi prayoga. The self is the subject matter of the enquiry, not the agent of enquiry. Okay? This is what we have to see. And so therefore, this is what constitutes a pramana. Why is the Veda an independent pramana? We have to see something about what makes a means of knowledge a king in its own right. So it should have minimum three things, three qualifications in order to qualify as a pramana. First one is it should be meaningful, and it should not be available for any other means of knowledge. In order to qualify as an independent means of knowledge, it should have some meaning, and it should not be available for any means of knowledge. And thirdly, it should have some direct purpose in my life. It should do something for me. That's why it's called me mamsa, because it's all about me, how it benefits me, what about me. Okay, so then it should have some use in my life. So anadhikata means not available. This is not a subject matter that is available for any other means of knowledge. I'm typing this in the chat pod so you can have the spellings. Adhigata, and then phalavat. Phalavat means it should have some result and relevance in my life, And then the third one, artha bodhakam. It should be meaningful. So these are the three qualifications of what constitutes a pramana, three conditions. Now, if we look at sight, for example, when you look at sight, what happens? So does it fulfill the first condition? Is sight available for other means of knowledge? Well, people who cannot see, they feel. Yeah, they feel, but they don't see. You see, that's the point. So sight is only available for the organs called eyes. No other sense organs called eyes, no other form of perception can bring to light forms and colors, shapes and colors, like the eyes do. Ears, all the cadences, various sounds, everything they bring to light. The ears bring to light. But then they are, you cannot say, my ears are plugged today, let me see which raga it is with my eyes. So you cannot take your eyes close to the television or something and think that you can hear with the eyes. You cannot. So anadhikatatvam is the first condition for any pramana. And then phalavat. Phalavat means it should have some purpose, it should be relevant for me. The one who is operating or one who is using this pramana, it should be relevant for me. So what do the eyes do? They help light up the entire jagat, and it is also useful so that it's much easier, if one can see, not to bump into other people and things. And it is still possible even if one cannot see, but it's much easier. Same thing about hearing. They all, they all help me lead the vyavahara life very, very easily and without, they enhance, without any problems. They enhance the quality of life. That is the phalavat, because they are useful. They help me gain knowledge because they are means of knowledge. And so this is phalavat. Artha bodhakam means that when sight takes place, it has some meaning. So there is a purpose and a meaning. It is meaningful. Whatever it reveals is relevant and is purposeful. These are the three conditions. Often it is difficult to distinguish between phalavat and artha bodhaka. When we talk about pramana, but one way to get over that difficulty is to see phalavat as a personal relevance. That it has a personal relevance for me. How is it available for my own daily life? What does it do? So this is how we understand this. This is the conditions of a pramana. So the pramana, that means what? Each pramana is a king in its own arena. It cannot be displaced by another pramana. It cannot be questioned by another pramana. It cannot be replaced. It cannot take the place of another pramana. And then the second point about pramanas in general is that the proof is in operating the pramana. Pujya Swamiji would always tell the story of this, I think it was a made up story, but nonetheless it's effective. A woman who had a cataract operation and was, actually it was not a cataract operation, she had some problem with her eyes, with her vision. She was nearly blind, and then there was some surgery that was going to fix it, and then the surgery was successful, and then for about a week she had the bandage on, and then after a week the bandages were removed, and the doctor said, there is no reason you cannot see, please open your eyes. She says, no, I will not open my eyes. She said, what if I cannot see? This disappointment and this, this hopelessness which was coming in the way and transforming into a certain kind of a resistance is the moral of this story here. So the pramana is fructifies in the effect of phalavat and arthabodhaka when you operate it. Or in the case of the Veda, when you let it operate upon you with the help of Shraddha, etc. So the proof is in letting the pramana do its job. You have to let it do its job. So you cannot say the Veda doesn't work, Vedanta doesn't work. Why? Because you have to let it operate upon you. That receptivity has to be cultivated, the non-reactivity has to be cultivated. Everything has to be, cultivated. In order to be receptive and in order to have devotion towards the means of knowledge and towards the person who is unfolding the knowledge. So this is basically the definition of Shraddha according to the Viveka Chudamani, and that Shraddha is incorporated in order for the pramana to work. So for the pramana to work, then that receptivity should be there. And so that is the second, that is another second point in general about pramanas. You have to operate the pramana, or you have to let the pramana operate on you in order to see the results. Otherwise, you cannot dismiss it and say it does not work. You cannot do that. Then, so this must be properly understood, because this is where sometimes there is a problem with allowing Vedanta to take one from the confines of hopelessness, fear, depression, uncertainty, into the discovery of oneself as non-separate from Ishvara. It's a journey of growing clarity. That is what it is. It is not some kind of a one aha moment. Like, aha, I got it. And sometimes this is a problem, because there are some, in the circles, in these spiritual circles, it has become a fashion for the spiritual leaders to celebrate what is called Enlightenment Day. Enlightenment Day. This is something which is difficult to understand, because quote unquote enlightenment is not an event that is happening to us, to the self. If it is an event, then the self becomes subject to time, because an event is that which happens in time. In fact, the self is the canvas in which all events take place, not the other way around. So therefore, the more one receives the pramana, the more there is a sense of clarity with regard to understanding the truth of oneself. So this is, so the pramana is independent. It is not available for any other pramana, and then it is available only when you operate it. That is the thing. And the third thing is that it can tell you things for which like heaven, etc. The first portion of the Veda reveals heaven, etc., for which there is no possibility of proof at all. No possibility of proof. The only proof is to go there, and then having gone there, come back. No, we don't. We may have, people who have gone to the moon and come back, and now there are all these space tours happening. So we have space tour returnees we will have soon to tell all about their experiences. But we don't have a heaven returned person to find out how it was. So it is, it is based on this Shraddha. Some portions of this Veda Pramana are based on Shraddha alone. Whereas Vedanta is Shraddha pending understanding. pending understanding. This is what we have to understand. So that is why the Veda becomes an independent pramana. It becomes its own means of knowledge that cannot be replaced by what you hear, what you don't hear, what you see, what you don't see, etc. I do not see Ishvara, therefore Ishvara must not exist. This cannot, this cannot replace this at all. And then again, it is futile to say, I don't feel like I am Brahman, so therefore I must not be Brahman. This is also not a possibility to look at, because this is not how the pramana operates. So now there is a subtle distinction between the Purva Mimamsakas. So there are two kinds of analysis done. The analysis is itself called Mimamsa. Purva Mimamsa means the analysis of the first portion of the Veda. Purva Mimamsaka means the people who analyze the first portion of the Veda, the agents or the scholars who analyze the first portion of the Veda. Then we have Uttara Mimamsa, the Vedanta, the last portion of the Veda. Uttara Mimamsakas, that is, we are called Uttara Mimamsakas, all of us, because we are interested in the analysis of the latter portion of the Veda. So now here, to look, the word here, we'll more about this Purva Mimamsa later, but here we have to look at why this obsession with the sentence non-existence alone in the beginning was, and it was singular and non-dual. Why the obsession with this sentence? Because what we look at in the Veda is that the entire Veda is a pramana. So you cannot self-select or selectively look at a few sentences and say, I like this sentence, I will take it as a means of knowledge. I don't like this sentence, or it doesn't make any sense, therefore I will not take it as a means of knowledge. You cannot say, you cannot have a contextual or a selective reading. Either the entire Veda is a pramana or it is not. You cannot have a sentence in the Veda which makes no sense. Like this sentence here, Asadeva idam agre asit, ekameva advitiyam asat, ekam asat asit asat. You can't have a sentence like this. This should raise red flags, and lest the whole Veda lose the status of the pramana, or lest we lose our Shraddha. Both of those things either of those things can happen. And so therefore we have to spend time on this, and then in the process pick up some Mimamsa skills, analytical skills on how to understand these sentences. Because otherwise it will become very easy. All the Purva Mimamsakas, they already do this anyway. The Purva Mimamsakas, they have come up with a very interesting sutra. Just like Uttara Mimamsa, we have sutras. What are they? Brahma Sutras, for which the Adi Shankara has written a commentary. Brahma Sutras authored by Veda Vyasa. Now Veda Vyasa's student called Jaimini authored what is called Purva Mimamsaka Sutras. Sutras or aphorisms analyzing the first portion of the Vedas. And in the second chapter, in the second subsection of the first chapter of the Purva Mimamsaka Sutras by Jaimini, there is a very interesting sutra. Amnayasya kriyarthatvat atadarthanam. So, Amnayasya kriyarthatvat shastrasya kriyarthatvat atadarthanam. There is one sutra. And what does it mean? A very rough translation. What does it say? It says that any sentence in the Veda must have kriyarthatva. Kriyarthatvam. Kriyarthatvam means it should make you do something. Because that's what Purva Mimamsakas are. They are doers. And if you say, oh, they lived a long time ago, why should I be concerned with them? Not so fast. Because you look at everybody in the world today and they are all doers. And they will say also, I am a doer. So many times. They will drop off the significant other into the Vedanta class and then you say, where are you going? Sit. No, 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 no. This is not for me. I am a doer. I feel like saying, no, no, you are done in. You are not the doer. But still, this is the orientation. In fact, the hidden Purva Mimamsaka reigns as a collective possibility. In each and every heart. Because there is this is there in the culture, in the society. You have to keep doing. After this, what to do? Something or the other you have to do. Then you have to do this. Then you have to do that. And then, sick of all this doing, you join the ashram. And there you are made to do even more than what you did in your life. From morning to night, you are kept busy. You just don't even have time to think. This is how it is. There is a purpose for that. That's not the reason to bring it up here. But we cannot discuss it here because I don't want to lose the track here. So therefore, there is this feeling that in order to be acceptable, I have to do. In order to get what I want, I have to do. In order to get self-approval, I have to do something. In order to accomplish something, I have to do. And picking up on this collective feeling of self-worth, depending upon doership. The whole Veda, the Purva Mimamsakas say that the entire Veda is telling us to do something. So, atadarthanam anartakyam kriyarthatvat. The whole Veda has kriyarthatvam, means it enjoins you to do. The whole Veda has two kinds of sentences. What are they? Vidhiparavakya and Nishedhavakya. Vidhiparawakyani means these sentences that say, what do they say? Like for example, Satyam vada, dharmanchara, swadhyaya anma pramadaha. This is all called vidhipara, means injunctions. Speak the truth, Satyam vada, dharmanchara, follow dharma, and then Nishedhavakya. Nishedhavakya means don'ts. And what are the don'ts? Swadhyaya anma pramadaha. Do not neglect your self-study. This is what it is, Along with the swaras we should translate. Then only it is fun. So, do not neglect your study of the Veda. Swadhyaya. Whatever you want to study, do not neglect that. These are the injunctions and prohibitions. Suram na pibet. Do not drink alcohol. All these things, kalanjayam na bhakshayet. So all these things are there. Don't eat, meat. Don't drink alcohol. All these things are there. These have purpose because that's why they are pramana. They are arthavat, they are meaningful, they are phalavat, they make me have more of a sattvic body and life, and it is anadhigata because nobody else is telling me not to study my own Veda. Nobody is telling me to do that. So therefore it is a pramana, and therefore only those sentences of the Veda which tell me to do something should be taken as Veda Vakya, should be taken as meaningful. Anarthakyam means useless. Atadarthanam means those sentences which don't tell you to be doing something or not doing something or showing some kriya. They may not be actually telling you to do things, but they will give you a meditation. After that, what? You are supposed to sit and do the meditation. So therefore there is some doing involved. Or they'll tell you a know-how of a ritual, how to lay the bricks and which side to offer the ghee, left side, right side, in the center, all these. There are all these, terrible rules. And then, even thinking about it, you start getting gray hairs. And then, and then there is an injunction, Krishna Keshaha Yajet, meaning only the person who doesn't have grey hair must offer this, So it's very interesting. So therefore, only the sentences that have, this is what the Purva Mimamsaka is famous for, only the sentences that tell you to do something and tell you to don't do something or do something, they are only meaningful. The rest of it should be ignored. So what to ignore in the Veda? Here is where the rub is with us and the Purva Mimamsakas. Tattvamasi, ignore, because it's not telling you to do something. It doesn't say Tattvam Bhavishyasi, you will become Jagat Karanam Brahma if you are a good boy or a good girl. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. It just says Tattvam Asi, you are that effortlessly. Aham Brahmasmi. All the Mahavakyas, cross. No use. No use. Why? Anarthakyam atadarthanam kriyarthatvat. Because it doesn't tell you, and it is not centered around a kriya. This is the Purva Mimamsaka's bag of tricks. Okay, this is all they have, because they all want you to. So they believe in moksha, they believe in Veda, they believe in Veda as a pramana, unlike the Bauddhas and the Vaisheshikas, etc. But what do they say? You can do moksha. You can do moksha. How do you do moksha? Well, you get up in the morning, have a yajna for breakfast. Means instead of breakfast, do a yajna. And then what? And then have some, japa. And then after that what? Oh no, it's time for another yajna. Must be. And then after that what? Some more japa. And so the meditation is called jnanam. It is not jnanam as we understand jnanam, but it is meditation. It is called vidya and jnanam. And then what else? The rest of the time you are busy doing something. You are picking up the sticks for the yajna. What else are you doing? You are going here, going there, preparing something, or you are doing seva, or you are, cooking for your family. Whatever it is, you are cleaning up, you are earning your livelihood, whatever you are doing. All that is called karma. So you keep doing meditation, and then you keep doing karma, laukika and vaidika. Laukika karma, cooking, cleaning, going to office, etc. Vaidika karma, yajna, pujas, etc. You keep doing, and then not in this life, after you die, you will get a rocket. A rocket will come and then take you straight to Brahmaloka. This is the belief. And you will be taking a selfie with Brahmaji. Why the hand like this? Because you're putting an arm around. There is no COVID there. You can do these things. So you're taking a selfie with Brahmaji, that will self-destruct. That is why it is called selfie, because it doesn't travel, extraterrestrially. So this is what the Purva Mimamsakas believe, that moksha is gained through action. You do moksha. Because moksha, do you have moksha? No, you don't have moksha. That's why the Veda tells you do this in order to have moksha. So what about Vedanta? Just cross it out, because it is not telling you to do anything. It is just there to make you feel good, that's all. It is you can use it for meditation. Those vakyas you can use for meditation. Aham brahmasmi, aham brahmasmi, aham brahmasmi, you keep saying. Maybe something will happen, And then so, therefore, this is where the Purva Mimamsaka comes. And now, what Adi Shankara does here is that, Purva Mimamsaka is like a, what should I say, an internal sparring partner. Whereas those other two fellows that we have been reading about, what was the first one? The Vaisheshika, and the second one that we are in the middle of, Vainashika, they don't even believe in the Veda as a means of knowledge. That is what it is. They are Nastikas. They don't believe in the means, in the Veda as a means of knowledge, and so therefore they don't have Pramanya Buddhi, and therefore they are not, these people are our internal sparring partners. So what do we do? So what Adi Shankara does is that he uses a favorite tool of the Purva Mimamsakas in order to refute the Vainashika. It's like saying the enemy of, your enemy is who? A friend, in a way. So therefore what? So therefore there will be a strategic alliance between ourselves, Vedantins, Uttara Mimamsakas, with the Purva Mimamsaka right now for a short time in order to drive this Asadvadi out. This is where the thing is coming from. And then, so let us look at the Akshepa. Akshepa means the objection from the standpoint of the Purva Mimamsaka. The Purva Mimamsaka, just to make this very clear, is objecting to the Vainashaka. Vainashaka means the Shunyavadi, the one who says everything is a big zero. So Bhashya, Nanu Katham Vastu Akritehe Shabdarthatve Asadekαμeva Advitiyamiti Padartha Vakyartha Upapattihi Tad Anupapattau cha Vakya Pramanam Prasajyeta Iti chet. Yeah, so Nanu means, like this is, Nanu usually is an objection. By the way, hello, all these things, So Nanu is a Shanka Sanketa. Shanka means it expresses doubt here. So now he says that a word, according to the Purva Mimamsaka, has what is called Vastu Akriti. A word, it's a fancy way of saying a word is inextricably connected to its meaning. That's why there are no meaningless words. If a word is meaningless, then you have to find out what it means. Maybe you don't know that language. It's in a different language. Like one of these, these rebirth stories illustrates. There was a documented story of this young child that was born to some, American parents somewhere in rural Ohio. And then he would not speak, and when he started to speak, he was just speaking what they thought was making no sense, some kind of gobbledygook. A child psychiatrist, because they thought, okay, maybe he needs help, maybe some developmental problem, or what is he doing. And that doctor was Dr. Patel. And that Dr. Patel said, OMG, the boy is chanting Gayatri mantra in Sanskrit. The doctor was able to tell. So then, so this means that the boy was saying something. And just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it is rubbish. The parents thought it was rubbish because they had naturally never heard of Gayatri Mantra. They had not heard of anything. Sanskrit, it's barely they knew there was such a language. They had never heard Sanskrit. They did not know. So here the point is that everything is connected. Every word is connected inextricably to its meaning. You cannot have a word, really speaking, a word is not a word if it doesn't have a meaning, technically speaking. And so this is called Vastu Akriti. Vastu Akritihi Asti Shabdasya. For every word, there is what is called Vastu Akriti. So the meaning of the word pot is the form of the Vastu pot, thing pot. So Vastu Akriti is there for every word. Ghata, pot, pata, cloth, etc. Hat, cat, mat, rat, everything. And will have Vastu Akriti. Now the Purva Mimamsaka asks a question. What is the Vastu Akriti for Asat? Asat means what? What does it mean? Where is the meaning of Asat? Does Asat have a specific Vastu Akriti? I don't see any Vastu Akriti for Asat. Some extent meaning must be there. So for example, the word Sat, you cannot describe it because it's a abstract noun. You cannot describe it in terms of how tall it is, what is its color, etc. Sat has no color, no form, but still Vastu Akriti is there because that which exists is Sat. But non-existence, what kind of Vastu Akriti does it have? So this is the Purva Mimamsaka arguing, okay, and says that even though Sat doesn't have a form, the Asti iti upalabhyate. It is available as is. So how are you going to understand Sat? Oh, silly. This is the Vainashika talking. Vainashika says, silly, come on. Just say not is, not is, not is. But this is confusing because in the expression not is, what is. So this is very interesting. And so therefore, how can something that is non-existence be singular and non-dual? And so asadevam idam agre asit, where is the padartha? Where is the meaning of the word asat? And then all the words that come after it. Padartha vakyartha anupapatti. Where is it? Where is this tenability of the whole sentence having this meaning? The sentence doesn't enjoy any meaning at all. How are you going to arrive at each word, ekam, advitiyam, all these things, if the word asat itself is not tenable? If the meaning is not possible, then what? Strike out this sentence. Atadarthanam anartakyam kriyarthatvat. It should not be in the Shastra. The meaningless sentence should not be in the Shastra. This is his, prasajyeta means strike it out. This should not be here. Tad anupapattau chaidam vakya pramanam, this should not have this context at all. It should not be within this context. It should not even allowed to be there. And then Adi Shankara says, Shabash, bro, very good, wonderful. I'm glad that you have been of some use to us, even though you're criticizing our Vedanta all the time. You have been of some use to us here. This is wonderful. But let us just see what he says in detail. Okay, yeah. So he has his way of doing a samadhana here. Let us see. Yeah. Naisha doshah sadgrahana nivritti paratvat vakyasya sad iti ayam tavat shabdah sadakriti vachakah ekam advitiyam iti etau cha
इति एतौ च
सच्छब्देन
तच्छब्देन
समानाधिकरणौ
समानाधिकरणौ
तथा इदमासीदिति च
तथा इदमासीत् इति च
तत्र
तत्र
नञ् सद्वाक्ये
नञ् सद्वाक्ये
प्रयुक्तः
प्रयुक्तः
सदाक्यमेव सद्वाक्यमेव
तद्वाक्यमेव
आलम्ब्य
आलम्ब्य
सद्वाक्यार्थविषयाम्
तद्वाक्यार्थविषयाम्
बुद्धिम्
बुद्धिम्
अवलम्ब्य
अवलम्ब्य
सद् एकमेवाद्वितीयम्
तदेकमेवाद्वितीयम्
इदमासीद् इत्येवं लक्षणाम्
इदमासीदित्येव इत्येवं लक्षणाम्.
Yeah, so we can stop there. At least there is a comma there, otherwise we'll be just keeping on going. Okay, so he says, what does he say? Naisha dosha. Well, your premise is correct. What you say is true, but your way of understanding is the sentence is wrong. Your premise of saying that every sentence should have a meaning, every word should be meaningful, otherwise it has no place in the Veda. The Veda is infallible and it is very holy, and so every word should have a meaning. Yes, I agree with you, but your understanding of the sentence, and what is the sentence here? Let us not even, who can forget the sentence? Asadeva idam agre asit ekameva dvitiyam. You know, this way one cannot forget this sentence at all. Why? Because we've been analyzing it for till the cows are yet to come home. We have been keeping on analyzing it, so we cannot forget this sentence. So then he says you're understanding the sentence itself wrong. And what does he say? He says, I lost the bhashya. 1 second, here it is. Yeah. So what does he say? He says that सद्ग्रहण निवृत्तिपरत्वात् वाक्यस्य सद्ग्रहण निवृत्तिपरत्वम् अस्ति. So for this sentence, which sentence? Asadeva idamagre ahuhu ekameva dvitiyam. For this sentence, that non-existence alone was, and it was singular and non-dual, you are understanding it all wrong. For this sentence, sadgrahana nivritti paratvat vakyasya. For this sentence, sadgrahana nivritti paratvam asti. There is a commitment in this sentence to negate sat. This has to be understood. You know, meaning this sentence is based on a negation that applies to the entire sentence, not just to one word. Brilliant. Really, really brilliant. So if we take it as just one word is being negated, sat is being negated by putting asat, then we are in soup. That's when we start questioning the Veda. That's when we start questioning the Veda as a pramana. What is it doing? How can there be non-existence? And how can that non-existence have numbers? Sankhya sambandha. And then have some other kinds of, whatever it is. Sankhya sambandha, kala sambandha, asit, etc. We saw that yesterday. How can it happen? So here, he says that nivritti paratva vakya is there. It has to be seen as a sentence of negation where sat is being negated. And then if sat is being negated and sat is the, sad eva somya idamagre asit. Sat eva asit. Sat alone was. And then the other words are qualifying sat. How are they qualifying sat? Ekam, advitiyam. Okay, they are qualifying sat. Existence alone was. There was only one thing, and that one thing is sat, and that sat, this jagat, was sat, was in the form of sat. Idam sat asit. So idam is jagat, and then idam is Sat, idam is Ekam, idam is Advitiyam. All of them are centered on Sat. Sat is the what is that, is the star of this sentence. So idam agre idam jagat Sat asit. What kind of Sat? Ekam Sat, Advitiyam Sat asit idam jagat. So now he says the whole thing. Okay, before that he says Sat iti ayam tavat shabda sadakriti vachakah. So when you think of Sat, there is already an akriti, because we say, ghatas san, patas san, ghatah asti, patah asti, mathah asti, all these things, asti, asti, asti iti upalabhyate. Everything obtains as asti, asti, asti alone. So sadakriti vachakah. And then he says that if Sat has a meaning, it's enough for us. Because the words ekam, look at the bhashya, advitiyam iti etau cha Sat shabdena samanadhikaranau. So the words ekam and advitiyam, these two words are in apposition, not opposition, apposition to Sat. Because here what is there? Sat is there, and then singular. And then what? Third person, asit, singular, third person, neuter. And then ekam, singular, third person, neuter. Advitiyam, singular, third person, neuter. So they are adjectival to Sat. In other words, they are in apposition to Sat. So then, so big deal. So what? Well, and then he says tatha idam asid iti cha. So even the words idam and asid are qualifying Sat alone. Tatra, in this context here, nanj sadvakye, nanj means negation. The negative particle a is called nanj. So the negative particle a sadvakye prayuktah, sadvakyameva alambya, sadvakyartha vishayam buddhim avalambya, sad ekameva dvitiyam idam asid ityevam lakshanam. So basically the negative particle is negating Sat, and is in negating Sat, it's negating the entire sentence. So you cannot take asat as a cheese, as a substance. Cheese doesn't mean cheese, okay? Cheese in Hindi means vastu, okay? Yeah. So you can't take asat as a substantive. Asat simply means not, Sat is not, some people say it is not Sat. That's all. Eke ahuhu, it is not Sat. And so and all the things that depend on the word Sat are all negated. And we can, how is that? How is this negated? We can see. Very interesting, because the meaningful sentence, see, the sentence is meaningful. Why? Because Sat ekam advitiyam idam jagat asit. Very meaningful. We've seen the whole meaning. So the sentence is meaningful. You cannot take it out of the Veda because it is not meaningful. So this meaningful sentence is negated in its entirety by adding one negative particle. So if Sat is negated, the entire sentence is negated, because all the words in the Sat are in the sentence are qualifying Sat. So what do the word? So what is the meaning of the sentence? Eke ahuhu, O Shvetaketu, hey Somya, O dear one. Some people posit that asadeva idam agre ahuhu. They posit that that it is not Sat. Sat was not there. That's all they are saying. They are saying we disagree that Sat was there. Jagat was Sat. We disagree. We say Jagat was not Sat. That is what we say. So therefore, Sadgrahana Nivritti Paratvat Vakyasya. Whatever the meaningful sentence was laid before, in front of our eyes, is being negated. And so therefore, the meaning of the word Sat is simply negated, that's all. Your problem of Asat having Akriti is to know Akriti is true. But Sat has content. Sat has a content. It is Sat Shabda Akriti Vachaka. There is some sense that makes. When we say Sat, there is a sense. And then so all these words, which qualify Sat, are in apposition. Like supposing if I say Dasharathihi, son of Dasharatha, Kodandapanihi, the wielder of Kodanda. And then what? Sitapatihi, the husband of Sita. Who is this? Ramaha. Ramaha. Who is this? Kodandapanihi, Dasharathihi, Sitapatihi. All of them are in the same gender, tense, etc. Everything is the same. So here there is no verb, so there is no tense. So they are in the same gender, same number, same case. Gender, number and case. All of these words agree. Dasharathihi, Kodandapanihi, Sitapatihi. All of them are referring to one person alone. Why? This is what is called Samanadhikaranyam. Samanadhikaranyam means, Samana Vibhaktikanam Padanam Ekasmin Adhikarane Samanvayah. This is the definition. Samana Vibhaktikanam, words belonging to the same gender, number and case. Samana Vibhaktikanam. And then Samana Vibhaktikanam, Padanam, words, Ekasmin Adhikarane, they fall into one locus. They refer to a singular locus. Like Kodandapanihi, Dasharathihi, and Sita, Janaki Patihi, Sita Patihi. These all refer to one locus, which is Lord Rama. This is the definition of Samanadhikaranyam. Rama, third person, masculine, singular, nominative. Kodandapani, same thing. This is how Sat, Ekam, Advitiyam we have to take. And then, but supposing if we were to say Ramaha Kodandapanim Apashyata. Rama, Kodandapanim it has become. That means Kodandapani is the object of the sentence. Apashyata, sees. So Rama sees who? Rama. How can Rama see Rama? Who is this first Rama? Parashurama, another Rama. So many Ramas are there. Shapad Rama, Parashurama, so many Ramas are there. Some other Rama saw this Lord Rama who is Kodandapani. Two different persons. But that is not the case. That is not the case in Sat, Ekam, Advitiyam. They are all referring to the same locus. Same locus. And so therefore, Tatha idam asit iti cha means don't try to find the meaning for Asat, Eva, idam, agre, asit, ekam, advitiyam. Don't go to that route. Whatever was said for Sat is negated completely. That's what it means. Tatra nanj satvakye prayuktah. Therefore, the negation is pertinent for the entire sentence because sadvakyam eva avalambya tishtanti. All the other words, they rely on Sat. So the whole sentence is negated. Sat was not there before. So if I say Sat was not there before, that doesn't mean that I am saying Asat was there before. Okay, there is a big difference. So I want you to see that. There is a very big difference. This is what is Mimamsa. And then, this is exactly what the whole thing is. So Adi Shankara is going to give an example of a person riding a horse. So the person is riding a horse, and then when he encounters an obstacle like a big tree or another animal jumping or some people on the way or another chariot coming, then what does the man who is riding the horse do? The horse rider turns the horse around. In turning the horse around, he also turns around, right? It's not that he has to turn the horse around and then he has to turn around separately. So therefore, in turning the horse around, the whole direction is changed. Entire that route has been negated. That is what he's going to say. We'll see that next time. But so therefore, whatever meaning you got out of this sentence, is sentential meaning, and that sentential meaning is what is negated. That sentential meaning is negated, and if that is negated, then there is nothing more to say. We are not saying there is something called asat. We are just saying Sat was not there. Before before it came into being, this Jagat was not Sat. That is all we are saying. So therefore, there is a different meaning, and that meaning alone has to be taken. It's like saying, my friend won a lottery ticket, got a very big prize, a huge prize was gained by my friend. And so my friend won the lottery and then started a big factory and then became very rich. So now the friend had a factory and started a business and then became very rich and successful. Then naturally there is this akanksha. Who is this friend? Well, my invisible friend. My invisible friend won the lottery and then started a business and became very successful. So what happens if the friend itself is not there, invisible, then what happens to the factory and the lottery and then becoming successful? Nothing happens. Nothing happens, because all those things are immaterial if the friend itself is not present. So therefore, if Sat is negated, all other things relying on Sat are also negated. That is the idea. We'll stop here for today. Some questions are there. We can, I can answer. We'll say the closing prayer and leave some time for questions. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shambhavi had a question. What was it?
Swamiji.
Om.
Thank you so much for class. The question was, what can we do during the week in order to contemplate on what we study on the weekends?
Yeah. You can go over the notes and see as much as you can assimilate, and it's also about living this knowledge. So whatever one studies, whatever vision is gained, one can apply it in one's conduct, in one's behavior. Let's see if we can, as a result of these studies, become more patient, more compassionate, more present, more alert, more cheerful. That is the point of this knowledge. So it's not just sitting and memorizing what the Vainashika said and what the Vaisheshika said, etc. That has its own ruchi, that has its own joy in analysis and in delving into the knowledge. That is wonderful. But let's see how it can translating Vedanta into life. That is the idea. So you just let it flow. Let all these things flow. And then we see the compassion of Adi Shankara in how he deals with all these people. But then he will, he will be firm and very, he will negate it, but yet there is a compassion in doing that. And then there is his compassion, because he need not have written even this bhashya, but it is helping all of us. It is helping us to see the truth of ourselves through this. So my prayer for everyone is, may all the doubts fall away, and may this whole week be filled with everyone being bigger than all the problems and obstacles that confront them. That is my prayer. Maybe this was not the answer you were looking for, but this is what came.
It's very good. Thank you so much, Swamiji.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. I will see you all. Oh, there is one question. What is the impact on the life of the individual? Impact on the life of the impact of what, Harinder? What is the impact of what? Vedanta?
Of these matters, Swamiji, I left that out of the question.
Of these matas. You see, that's what I've been saying. We have to update them to see that they are not from long time ago. The one who is a doer is Purva Mimamsaka. And the one who says that, that nothing exists, has some severe authority issues. And then that's what translates as this abhavavadis, etc. Zero, these zero people. Everything is zero. And there is no Ishvara, there is no cause, there is nothing, above me. That's the feeling, that's where the fear is. So it helps us to see all the people that one is surrounded by. And then there may be some new Purva Pakshins too, that also we have to take into account. So the Vaisheshika is a people pleaser. Everything is there. Yes, everything is correct. Everything is okay. Everything, yes. Bhava is there, Asat is there, Sat is there. And happily they are going along. So there are enough people like this, with these kinds of opinions. And when we spar with them, we are not trying to pick a fight with them and be confrontational. We are trying to fine tune ourselves and rid the inner Vaisheshika and all these Vainashikas and all these people within ourselves. That is what it is called Sthanu Nikandana Nyaya. They sometimes erect 4 poles to put this a canopy of flowers and leaves for marriages, etc. to take place. And then, when they put the poles, when they, bury the poles and then tamp down the earth, then they shake the poles to see if it will take the weight. And if it is too shaky, then what happens? Then you have to tamp the earth down a little more with that little, with a little kind of a mallet they have. And so they have to do that a little more. And that is what they keep doing until it stops shaking. So our understanding, the Bhashya strengthens the understanding by tamping all the, by getting rid of all these things. It is like tamping the earth and strengthening our understanding, so we can stand erect and take the burden of all these matas and not be affected, not fall over. That is the point, okay?
Swamiji, I have one question.
Yeah.
So this, going back to this, what Upanishad is saying at 6:1. So the first part of it is Sadeva Somye Idamagre Asit Ekamevam Advitiyam, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And in the second part is where we have that Asad,
negation.
Idamagre Asit, the same thing basically. So
yeah.
Are we correct in understanding saying that he says Sat only existed before, even though some say that Sat was not existing before?
Yeah, because that's going to be now, the 6:2 is going to say that properly. After this we'll go into 6:2. It will say that. And in fact, Uddalaka will ask Shvetaketu, how can how can Sat come from Asat? How can something existent come from that? So you have to see that, and then you just have to let that be. So that is the thing. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So we are currently reading Swamiji's book on Taittiriya Upanishad. Will we be confusing ourselves by reading? Not, Swamiji's books are never confusing. But in fact, but if you feel like doing two things at the same time is difficult, then for the weekends, don't read it on weekends. For this, don't read it just before or after this class. Read it on other days of the week, or read it in the evening. Okay, so if you find it confusing, Swamiji's books are never confusing, and so in fact it is, but if you feel like you want to have a single-minded focus for the Taittiriya and a single-minded focus for the Chandogya, then read them, study them at different times. That's all I will say. Okay, yeah. Om Namah Shivaya. All the best.